It was first celebrated in the U.S. back in 1988, and the purpose, obviously, of the day is to help maintain positivity and celebrate those who are coming out to their family and their friends. So joining us now to discuss this is John SOVEC. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. John, great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, all of us in the LGBTQ community have our own unique coming out story and experience. So why is National Coming Out Day so important?
Well, Baker, I think it's such a moment for those of us who are part of the LGBT community to bring visibility, not just to our own stories, but also to make space for kids all over the world who are looking for someone who is like them. And I think it was beautiful. Earlier today, you had on Ricky Martin. And I know his coming out story had a huge influence and effect on a lot of people, not just LGBTQ kids, but also kids who were from his community, kids of color. And I think that visibility helps everyone feel stronger, more affirmed, and easier to find the connections in their community.
So true. And yet you're absolutely right. I mean, Ricky Martin's coming out completely reverberated throughout the entire community. We know coming out, John, can be a difficult process, especially for kids. What do parents need to know, especially when it comes to supporting their child when they're about to make this very big announcement?
Well, the thing that I think is fascinating with most parents is by the time their kid comes out to them, their kid has actually been thinking about this for quite a long time. They may have already come out to school friends. They may have come out to some relatives. Coming out to parents is a really scary thing for most kids. And what I think parents can offer the most in that initial moment, mom, dad, I have something to tell you, is actual beautiful love and affirmation. If you go online and look at some of the coming out videos that have been posted in the past, what's so beautiful is these moments when these kids in tears are telling their parents, and all the parent does is hug them and say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And to me, that is step one, to be there and affirm your kid, because this is a really brave thing they just did for you.
So true. And I know so many kids, or their biggest worry is, will their family look at them the same? Will they accept them the way that they are? John, for kids who are listening right now, what should they know about this process if they're about to come out to their parents?
Well, the one thing that I talk with a lot of families about, and I talk with the kids that I work with about, is we need to create a space for everybody to come out, because this is a process that affects the entire family. And initially, when parents find out, there's this moment, and we focus on it as a grief period. And it's not that they're always upset or hurt about their child coming out. It's often about the loss of that dream of that child that they gave birth to. Most parents, when they're hospital, they look down at their little baby and they look into its eyes. They have these moments of projecting forward this kid's entire life. And when a kid comes out to them, that changes that picture and it shatters a dream. And I think it's so vital for both kids and families to understand that there is going to be a little bit of a grief process that's going on. So for kids to know their parents are going through something, and for parents to be able to give themselves just a little bit of breathing room as they're trying to process this news themselves.
So true. And John, I know you and I both could say to kids, it gets so much better the moment you finally say those words that you've been dreading saying your entire life. The world it's like when Dorothy finally got to Oz and everything was in color. Everything finally makes sense and it finally clicks. Now, besides kids, for adults out there who are maybe thinking about, talking about coming out to their coworkers or to their leaders or their employers, what are some of the steps that they need to take for that?
Well, we live in a very divisive world right now. And the one thing that I always talk to about anybody at any age who's thinking of coming out is we need to look at safety first. So if you are in a work environment where coming out may not be safe for you, you may need to hold on to that information and find other parts of your community where you can come out. Sometimes coming out doesn't have to be a big blanket statement. Sometimes it's a very focused piece of the puzzle of our identity that we share with the people who we want to. Important to understand that, like, if you come out in the workplace, that once you hand that story off to anyone, it is no longer your story, and it will travel around beyond your power and experience. So really make sure that you're sitting in a place where you feel safe, sitting in a place where you feel powerful, and knowing what coming out will mean to you.
So true. Amen, John. I only have about another minute or so left with you, John. What does National Coming Out Day mean to you?
For me personally, I talk about coming out as a lifelong process. And yes, I came out at 14, came out again at 16, just because sometimes you have to do it more than once. Um, but over the course of my lifetime, I've had to come out over all kinds of different experiences. Coming out and speaking with you on a national forum, coming out in work environments in the past. That coming out is a personal and ongoing story. And by me being proud of who I am and knowing that it doesn't have to be affirmed by anybody but myself, that I can speak freely about who I am, feel empowered by it, and really make change happen in the world.
So true. Amen. Well said, John. I feel like you're absolutely right. It's like we come out every single day. And then for a lot of people, once they hear us talk, they're like, oh, okay, great. That sounds great. It's easy. Done. Okay. John SOVEC, licensed marriage and family therapist. Great to have you here. Thank you so very much for joining us.